Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. And a very good day. Alhamdulillah. My name again, Samsul. So today I would like to share with you one title, one interesting topics. Alright. I think that most of the students look forward to think on what is the best for their research. And today title will discuss on the scopes of inquiry-based research. I think that this is very important for most of the students who want to propose their working title or propose research, to make sure that at the end of the day they will come up with a good research, and also can be more pragmatic for them. And yes, and when we talk about the inquiry-based research, it's actually to understand and also to forecast what is actually happened in our research by considering a few factors that contributes to our working title or proposed titles. But before we start with the inquiry-based research, I think that as a students, we need to understand that we need to have a very systematic and pragmatic process to make sure that we are going to do things with a very systematic, flexible, and to ensure that at the end of the day you will come out with outcomes that with a good duration of times and with a good space and whatnot. And when we talk about systematic and pragmatics, there's three elements that we need to understand. That on the first one is I think that we need to have some kind of mind, a good mind. As a students, you need to think in the big pictures and able to understand the whole systems that required in your research, and also your mind have to think actively, and somehow or other the mind should be more adaptable, agile, and also have the ability to absorb all the informations, but somehow the student also need the ability to curate the contents or context to make sure that at the end of the day you will come out with a good research. However, when we talk about mind, we also have a second factor we call the time. I think that as a student, I think that you have more like a flexible hour in doing your works, but how do you manage your time? And also it's very important to us to understand that how you use your space to make sure that you can utilize your space. When we talk about the space, it's not only about we talk about the physical space, but also we talk about the social space, the virtual space, the network space, and whatnot. So I think that the three elements of mind, time, and space is playing important roles before we start our research as a students. And if we look at the diagram, we can see that there are 5 elements when we propose our working titles. We normally start with the theoretical foundation, in which to make sure that we can propose the working title and developing a good conceptual frameworks. However, when we talk about theoretical frameworks and also the conceptual frameworks, it always influenced by, and it is influenced each other, especially when we talk about how we as a researcher to get align our perspective and also the theory. And we also talk about not only talk about the conceptual framework, but we also talk about, yes, we have the theoretical foundation, but what's other context and also the contents to embed it in our research. And normally when we talk about content and context, we also talk about how we define the accepted practice and also value in the system, in which we have a various theories underlies in our research area. And the theoretical framework and also the contextual frameworks is actually give us some kind of indication how to develop a good frameworks. And when we look at the conceptual framework, we can see that normally the conceptual framework work as an outline perspective from which you consider certain theories and also the certain context, and it contribute to your research purposes. And at these factors, when we talk about conceptual framework and research purposes, I can so call that as a very loosely in the terms of at this context, the conceptual framework and also the research purpose can be so agile because of influenced by the theoretical framework, also the context that we want to bring in. And the research purposes is very important when we understand the whole system or the bigger pictures of theoreticals, context, content, and also the conceptual frameworks. And to arrive the destination on how we collect the data, approaches and method somehow or rather can be as a guide, but somehow or rather can be a constraint to us as a researcher. And I think that when we talk about the research paradigm or research perspective in our fields, this diagram of inquiry-based research will help us to understand better and how we can use this diagram and infuse with our current research. Alright, so I think that by looking at these 5 dimensions thoroughly and also critically is very important. And yes, as a student, you need always to think above and beyond, but somehow we need to make sure that we have a certain mechanism to make sure that everything in control, and also we work based on the time given. So I hope you can try these frameworks and try to benefit it. I think inshallah all of us can go through our research by using this scope of inquiry research. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum and very good day.